Hello friends and everyone, you're welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. Actually, I'm so glad to meet you again here for this mini project. The title of this project is Developing or Building Bill Tracker Application for Mobile and also Desktop. We have done this project before, but that project we use a Blazor server app. So when we talk about web application, we use a Blazor server to do that. And this is a mobile application. So this, you can install it on our phones and operate it. For the web server, for the web application, you need to have a browser and also access that. If you haven't watched that video on creating the same application using the web, then check the description here. I'll leave the link over there. You can click on it to watch it. The hosting model that we used was Blazor server. Now let's focus on today's lesson. It's all about creating a bill tracker application for mobile. So this bill tracker is a mini project that we have been doing. Not only this, we have a lot of mini projects that we have started doing it. We built both the web app and also the mobile app. So check the playlist or check the description here. I'll leave the playlist over there so you can just have a look to that. Now, when we talk about bill tracker, to what we are doing here, it is just an application which is going to keep track of our bills that we set. Let's say electricity bill, rent, water bill, any kind of bill that you want to add. You can add it over here. Now, you choose the bill period if it is a monthly or yearly. Now, as soon as it catches up, the duration is over, it pops up and it tells you the amount that you need to pay. If you couldn't pay, the next bill is going to increase it. It's going to add the same bill the next time. Okay. The screen tells you what we're going to do here. So you can see from this application that we have, that is the home page. Now with the home page, we have this bill tracker application. Now the bills that you have here, that is the total amount that we need to pay. So that is the amount over here. Now these are the due bills that we need to pay. We have our water bill, we have car rental bill. So you can see we have the type here as monthly. The current month that we need to pay for is September. The amount is the amount, and that is the due date. So it ended on this 18th October 2023. That is the due date. Don't worry, we are in September. I've adjusted the date, so this bill can be due. Yeah. So don't worry, we are in September, but on this application we are in October. Don't worry. Okay, so these bills are unpaid. So that's like you see, we have this unpaid as a bill status. Now, if I go down here, you can see these are the recent bill payment. And now this recent bill payment, we've paid one for electricity bill for September. And I will see the status here means it was paid. That is the due date. That is the amount. So actually, we are not making a payment through this application. For these bills, we pay them outside. But this is just a tracker. So you have to input, we have to alert this application to exclude the one that you've paid and keep the others as well. Okay, so this tracker gets you the amount that you have to pay. It gets you when the time is up. It tells you what you have to pay. In case you couldn't pay, it's going to keep the record and now pop up all the time for you to know the kind of bill that you need to pay and the amount that you also have to pay. All right, so how was I able to do this? Now, when you check this Blazor server app, we did the same thing here from the home section. And now there's a way to add bill and also add this bill period. And that is a monthly or weekly or yearly in case you want to do that. So let's try to go through that and see. But first of all, maybe let's go up here. And for this, you see we have this home, we have build a manage period and manage build. Now, when I go to this period, you can see we have only one over here, and that is a monthly. So I can add a period over here. In case I want yearly, I want weekly, I want some days, I can do that. Also, so maybe we can decide to add one for us to see. let's say weekly. So I can click on save, and as soon as you do that, you can see that has been added here. Now when we go back to this bill, we're going to create bills. So we have these 3 bills here in data grid. Now these are the bills that we have. Now as you can see from here, we have the amount, we have the name, the amount over here, the period, that is a monthly for each. We have the starting date, okay, and we have the bill status. So these are all active, they are true. Okay, now let's add a new bill and see. So let's see, I'm going to add something like, click on this add bill, and we have this add bill page popped up. Okay, so let's see, this is housekeeping. Alright, so this housekeeping bill, and at the type I'm going to choose here is monthly. So let me put in the amount over here. Okay, so 0.88. Let's put it that way. And now that is a bill status. Is it active? So yes, it's active because I want to pay at the end of the month. And now here you can see we have the calendar. So you have to choose in the date that you want to start from. So the starting date. So I'm going to choose in this month as what? We are in October. So I'll go to September and I'll choose. Alright, so September here. And I'm going to choose. Alright, so September, it is disabled. You can see these are the past dates, so we can't have access to the past date. Okay, so maybe this is what we can do. Let's see, this we are in October, right? So for this, we can make a change to this. Let's change today's date. So I'm going to make a change to this. And I'm going to select from, instead of this October, I'm going to select September, change the date. Okay. Now let's go up for the September and see if we can have access to that. Let's close this. Okay. And let's try again. So alright, so we have, because we've changed the date, let's rebuild this application and try to add a bill. Alright, so it is back again. Now let's do that. So build. So we're going to add a new bill, housekeeping bill, and that's going to be for, it's a monthly bill that we're going to pay. So monthly, and the amount, and I'm going to make it as active. Now we are in October here, so let's see. So October, we have October here. Okay, so let me pick the October 18th. Let's go back. So September, let's pick the October 18th, and that is this. So you click on this to select that, and okay, so you have it selected. You can just go up here and now click on save. Alright, so you can see we have this housekeeping bill being added. As you can see from here, this is the bill name, this is the bill type, that is the date over here, and yeah, let's add one more. So now we're going to add another bill. So let's have another bill, and maybe you can now go for the same month and pass in the amount over here. Now the bill type here, and you're going to choose the same day, then click on save. Alright, so we have the bills here added. Now when we go to the home, since these bills, they are not yet up, you can see they are not, because we said monthly. So the current date that we choose plus addition 1 month, that's going to give us the amount due for that. So in order to achieve that, I believe we can do this. Let's try to check let's go to the same bills, and now the ones that we just added, add that bill, we click on this and we want to edit. And now here within the October, we want to go for September, and that is 18th. So September 18th, yeah, so we are in there, September 18th. Okay, so this has been selected. Then we're going to save that. So now it is set to September 18th. Now let's do the same to the second one that we just added. We want to see if the time is up, is going to get the data, it's going to populate it for us. Okay, so let's set this to September, and this is 18th. So that is, I guess, September 18th. Okay. All right, so now we save it. Now let's try to access the home page, and now see. So you can see now we have the bills over here, and we have the housekeeping bill. So that is the month of September, and also this is the month of September. So as you can see, we have the same month as well. Okay, so when you decide to add this month and try to update it, let's see what happens. So let's take some time to go through this. Now I'm going to add another one, or let's try to change this. Now you see this is in September and the due date is in October. Now when you check the date here, we are in September. So let's try to update the date here and change the date. And here I'm going to move to October. Okay, so if I move to October, let's say save all this. So this means that when we check the bill, when we check our bills here, we are saying that the starting date for this is going to be October. So October plus 1 month. Okay, so meaning November, this bill is also going to be ready as well for payment. Now we've changed the date here. Let's try to, let's see, click on manage. Now let's go to, so we have the same September over here. Let's try to close this application and I'll load it again and see that if it's going to generate a new bill for us as of October. Alright, okay, so we see that the amount here has been doubled, as you can see from here, because all these bills are not paid. So you can see we have September bills, and this is also September bills. Now, as soon as you go on, you can see we have October bill. So this bill to not pay, date due was November 18th, and now this bill was October 18th. So you can see that the interval here, it is 1 month. So every 1 month, it has to increase, and now it checks if it is there, if it is paid, then it's going to move on to this. But if it is not paid, it's going to be added, and now the amount here is going to be added. So you can see we have all these bills that we need to pay as well. Now, in case we decide to change the date here, let's also change the date. Let's say we are in the month of December. So let's see, it's going to also increase the time, or they're going to increase the amount over here. So we change this to December and change this. Now, once we have this over here, you can see we have up to just October. Now, when we load this, you're going to have November as well. November bill as unpaid. So let's check it out and see. So we have to reload this application again, so it can sync with the date that we have set and get us the November bill. Okay, so you can see we even have it. So it is the November bill. Okay, so you can see we have the November bill over here, and now the amount has been increased to this. Yeah, now let's try to access it. So let's see if it is paid. Now I want to pay October. That's in November for water bill. So as soon as I click on unpaid one, it's going to move this bill, and you can see this over here for this recent. So you can see the status here, it is paid, and November water bill is paid. We can also pay the car rental, And as soon as you click on that, it moves from this due bill table and it comes to this history table. So you see these are all histories. These are the recent ones. And as soon as I pay, you can see it also subtracts from the amount here. So let's see, you can see it subtracts from this, and now it comes to this, and I have the current amount of bill that I have to pay. So let's try to pay all, and now let's see. Okay, so you can see that it is just subtracting the amount from this. Okay, now let's see, we have a lot. Okay, so basically we have only 2 bills left, and that is the amount of 647.91 as of 79 plus 567. And I want to check this recent because see we have all these bills over here as a recent payment. All right, so this is just a simple application that we are trying to do. Okay, that's a bill tracker. So it keeps track of our bill that we set, and every month it has to update. In case you couldn't pay, it's going to generate a new bill and add it to the amount that we have already. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to create a new project for this .NET Maui because we want to start from scratch and we do everything step by step, so we can actually have this mini project here. If this is the first time of watching a video from a Netcode-Hub channel, then you are welcome again. Check our playlist. We have a lot of mini projects and lessons for you over there, both Blazor and also .NET Maui. If you haven't subscribed to, you can also do that. As soon as you upload a new video, you have a notification to also watch it as well. And if you think this video you are okay with it, please give me a thumbs up, because when you do that, it helps this video to get to a lot of people as well. So thank you so much for doing that as well. All right, so you're going to close this and you're going to create a new project. So the name of the project that I'm going to create is going to be demo or Maui demo or demo Maui build tracker. When I'm done with this project, I'm going to put it at the GitHub, and I'll leave the link under the description. So when you check that, you can just go to the GitHub and clone this project and also review. So I'll choose .NET Maui App. And the name here, I'm going to make it as Demo Maui Build Tracker. Then the framework that we're going to use is 7.0. Alright, so now the app is ready and created. The first thing that we are going to do here is we are going to install NuGet packages for the SQLite database. So in order to do that, I'm going to copy some package reference here, and these are the packages that we're going to install. So you're going to pause the video and try to install these packages. So I'll just go to Solution Explorer. Then I'll just click on this project and I'll go to Unload Project. So for the database, these are the packages that we're going to install. So install these packages. Okay, we have the SQLite, .NET extensions, extension.async, raw.core provider, and also the SQLite 3. So these are the packages we're going to install for database. Also, aside from that, we need this current2k.mbvm, and also we need the current2k.maui. We need to install these packages as well. And when we are done, then we can go ahead and install some packages from Syncfusion, because we're going to use their components. So you're going to install buttons, call, input, data grid, calendar, MVVM helper. This is not from Microsoft. No, this is not from Syncfusion, sorry. This is from James Martin-Magno, who created this package. And I'm going to install this pop-up. So pause the video and please try to install these packages. Right click on dependencies and I'll go to manage NuGet packages and I'll try to install that. But for me, as I have added these package references, the next thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to just reload this project. And if I reload this project, I'm going to choose on reload with dependencies. And if I choose on dependencies, it's going to add all these to the application as well. Because I have these packages installed already, so I have them. So it's like making a reference to this. So I'll just save this and I'll go to this and I'll reload with dependencies. And all of these are going to be installed to this project. Now, if I right click on dependencies here and I go to manage NuGet packages, I have to wait for some time and all of these packages are going to be installed. So let's wait for that. Yeah, so you can see that I have this Maui MVVM and all these packages have been installed, as you can see. So try to also install the same packages, then we move on. All right, so what we're going to do here is let's first build this project and see if everything is in order. Then we can start creating our surveys and also so forth. So right click on this solution and I click on build solution. And now let's wait for the build to succeed. Then we can now move on with it. Yeah, I can see the build is failing here because we need to add some service to the Maui program.cs file. So let's do that. We have to navigate to the Maui program.cs file, and in there we have to add some service over there. As you can see, we have this that we need to do. So quickly, Solution Explorer. Now let's go Maui program, and now in here let's register these ones there. That is the Maui community toolkit and also the configure.syncfusion call. Okay, so all these have to be added the namespace here from. So let's control period. Maybe we can add it ourselves, community toolkit.maui. And now with this too, you need to add this. Yeah, so that is that one. So these are the two namespaces that I need to add. The call hosting also going to k.maui. Alright, so save this and now let's rebuild it again and see what we have. So right click, solution, and now build solution. Okay, so let's wait. Alright, so you can see that the app is successfully built and everything is working as expected. Now the very second thing that we're going to do here, I wanted to say the very first thing, forgotten that we've done the first one. Alright, so the second one that we're going to do here is also very simple, and that is creating our models. You know, models, these are the properties that you're going to be using for a database and also for communication from a database and also between the user. So database and user, the models are the ones that you're going to be using to communicate between. Now let's first create it. Now we're going to create 4 models here. The first one is going to be the build model, and that's going to be the default model. So this build model is what going to allow the user to set or state a new model. If I want to create a new model, or if I want to create a new build, it is the build model that's going to handle that. So when you check this application, you can see that if I click on build, okay, and if I click on manage build, so this is the build model that we are talking about. Okay, so let's first create this build model, and we're going to create a folder here and I'll name it as models. So let's add a folder to the project and let's name this folder as models. So let's create a class to this, and this class is going to be build. And now with this build class, we are going to be using these properties. So let's first set this to public. We can clear these things from top here. Now with this build, let's also specify the name. So the table name as build, and let's add these namespaces. So we're going to use the SQLite and SQLite extension.attribute. Now this is going to allow us to have access to this main to one relationship or the relationship here. Now we need to create our build model. You can see that from this model, it has a relationship here because you want to make in such a way that a build period, that is the period, either monthly or weekly, has in connection with this build. So as soon as you want to create a build, you must select the type or the period. Now I'm going to copy this and let's create another one. And for this period, it's going to base on, or it's going to handle only the period. Yeah. So that is the types. So build period. And now with this build period, you want to have something like the table is going to be the build period table. Okay. And let me close these ones. All right. Now, JSON ignore. We can ignore this for now. Or do you want to maintain this? Maybe we can do that. Yeah, that is to prevent a cyclical movement of data. That is why we need to add this JSON ignore. So we have this, and that's a list of builds. So it is one to many. So one of these build period, you're going to have many of builds. So one build period, you're going to have many of build period. Not a build period, but build object. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. And here, we want to have the next build as, or the next model as due build. What is due build? It's going to handle only builds which are ready, which are available for that month. Okay, so let's create that too. Add a class. And now the name is due build. Actually, you can name it the way that you want. Okay, so I'm using due build. You can also change it to how you want it to be. So I'm going to paste this here. And now let me clear this one from top here. Okay. Now that is what we have. So you can see we have the ID and up to this build type. We have build ID, name, amount, the due date name, and also the paid, and also the build type. So these are the properties that you want to have. Now when using SQLite, you have to specify the primary key and also the seeding. That is the auto increment. It is not like the EF core whereby you have to, it knows that anytime that it sees ID, definitely it's going to auto increment. But for the SQLite, you have to specify that. And you have to also specify all the relationship, the types. Okay, you have to do that. So now with that, the last one is the history. So as you can see from here, from this app, when you go back home, you can see we have the history down here. Due build is going to handle the current bills. We have two current bills here, and that's the due bill. Okay. Now when you come here, recent bill is going to handle by the history, and that is what we are going to work on. So let's see from the last one, and you know that's going to be the bill history model. So let's create a class known as bill history model. And now within this class, you want to also have the table as bill history, and you want to have these properties as well. Let me clear this. Okay. So when you check our bill history and on the due bill, they are the same. Okay. But we're going to use each for a particular purpose. So that is why we're creating a separate tables for that. All right. So now, once you're done, let's save this. Now, the very next thing that we're going to do, that's going to be the third thing that we're going to do here, is to create our service. So let's clear all this. Close all tabs. Now, let's see if the services are what we're going to be using to make a call from database and also to get data into the database. So let's see for that. And solution, let's create a folder also. And now let's name it as services. service has to come in with interface and implementation. So let's do that. And here I'm going to name this as iBuild service. This is an interface. Let's create the implementation class. And now this is build service. So with this interface, what are the methods that you're going to be using here? The very first method that we need to use let's first change this to public before we forget. Let me just clear this. So the first one is going to be on the build interface. We have add build, update, get build, and now delete. Okay. Now control period, let's include the models. Now you see we have a problem here because it is saying that these are the abstract, etc. Let's check it up. We have public class. Oh, there's a class. So this must be moved from the class, no more class, to the interface. So public. So these are the abstract classes, so they have to be here. All right. Now let's include the models reference. So we have this set. Now the first one is the build. The second one that we're going to add here is going to be the build period. So build period is going to allow us to add periods, monthly, weekly, etc. Because you see that here we're able to add this build period, and that's what we are creating this method for. The last one, manage build. The manage build is going to handle the aspect of this, generating bill, getting this paid, due bill, getting recently bill payment, and etc. Okay, so that is the last one, manage bill. All right, so we see that each has a list, or it has a single object or model that has to return as a return type. Now we have the interface set. Let's go to the implementation. And now here, we are going to implement it here. So for this service, the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to create our own constructor. And now with that constructor, we're going to create a method in to get database connection for us. In case it is not created, then it's going to create that. So let me just change this. Now we inject this SQLite async connection from the package that we installed. We have to create this method. And now we can create this method by using a private async void method because it's not going to return anything. So we're going to use that. Let me just remove this. So you see we are creating 4 tables here: build table, a period, a due bill, and also bill history. Okay, the name is a build, so I'm going to name it as demo bill. All right, now once you're done with this, let's first have the service of the bill. The first service here is to add bill. So build service, we add the bill object come in here. If it's not now, then we insert. And you can see the return type of an insertion of is this SQLite is going to be integer. So you can see we're going to set the results here as an integer. We check if it's greater than 0, meaning it's successfully inserted. Then display this. Else, error. All right, that's going to be for the insert. We have the next one for delete. If I want to delete it, I can use this method to delete. Very simple, and return this. Now, what of if I want to update? It's also very simple. We return this code string and also a message here. So this is going to be the string, and also this is going to be the number or the integer that we are returning. And here we can say update, this bill here is coming with a bill that contains the data, then we're going to update it. Aside from that, we want to get bill async. So we want to get all bills. And we can do that with just 2 lines of code like this. Get bill async here, you can see we are getting bill by ID. And that is what we are doing here. Because we added, when we check this bill, that is this bill, you can see we have a relationship here. So to get the data corresponding to that record, we're using get with children async. And now this here works with this SQLite extension async.extension. Okay, so you need to add this namespace. Alright, so we have this. Now let's have a look with the last method. And the last one, that is a get build. So get a list of build. And we also get to children, and now passing the recursive as well through, return the result. Okay, that is for the build. Now the next one is get build history. So how do you get build history? It's also quite simple. We can do that using this method. So get all lists from this table, build history table, and I'll return. Now the one which seems a little bit complex here, it is the next method that we're going to work on. That is get due build. So with this get due build, what is it going to do? Let's see from this next line, let's have this method here. Now when we go through this, it is returning a list of due bill. So at the end of the day, we must return a list of this due bill table. Okay, now let's see. So we first have to prepare all due bills into this due bill table. Remember that we've created a model for this table. When you check this due bill model, you can see we stated that the table is supposed to be due build. So we are saying that prepare all due build or all build into this table, which are waiting for payment. So example like this, all these bills, they are waiting for payment. So they are in the due bill table, they are waiting. As soon as you pay, it comes to this bill history. So we prepare all of them. Now once we do that, we get only the active ones. You could set a bill, but the bills, you could pay for 2 months and decide to stop it. In such case, you have to update and set this to false. If it's not active, it's not going to be counted. As soon as it is active, it's part of it. So we check if any, get and prepare monthly bill. So here we are checking only monthly bill. Although we have weekly, we can add yearly, you can add daily, etc. We can increase this, you can customize this the way that you want. Okay, this is just for a lesson, so you're not going to do everything. I know it's a mini project too as well. We're taking only one period, that's going to be the monthly. We get all data which have the period name as monthly. Here we are linking a connection, and that's going to be the relationship. We can get this because we added this get all with children async. We can have access to any of this which are for monthly. So when you check this, when you check the build, manage build, you can see we have the bill period. This period is from different table, but because of this get all with children async, we can have access to them like this. So we get all. In case there's any, we are going to look through when the count is more than 1 or even 1. We want to look through the list, and now we're going to check if the date meets. Okay, so if today's date is equal to the starting date of that bill plus 1 month, dot to short this string. So we're checking, let's say today's date, the bill is set up to monthly. So it's going to expire, or it's going to end or due next month the same date. So when you add 1 month to the starting date, and if it is equal to today, meaning the bill is due today, so you have to pay it from today onwards. So that's what you are doing. So we are saying that in case it is true, this means the bill is due to be paid. So we're going to prepare the bill and I'll save it to the bill table. But first, check and see if the bill has been already prepared from the due bills table. So we check if it is not there already. We're going to do that. And we can check that by using this bill ID equal to this bill ID. So in case this bill ID is found in there, meaning it is already, you want to skip. But in case it is not there, then this is what you're going to do. We are going to create a new due bill object. Then we prepare or populate the bill object here. So we get the due date equal to the current date that you just set plus 1 month. So anytime that the bill exceeds or the duration is due, it updates or it generates a new bill, and I'll add 1 month to the date of that bill, so that the next month too, as soon as it catches up, it's going to add another month to it. So it keeps adding. So you're making it as a recursive. We prepare it over here. Now, when setting up to the due bill, you can see from here that the payment is off. Not the payment is off. The payment is not done. So it is unpaid. So we set the pay to false because that is where you're going to await for payment. As soon as you go out there and unpaid, when you come back, click on this paid, and it's going to move to this recent one as paid. Okay, so when you're done, insert it to the new bill. So insert it over here, and there's a new bill to this due bill table. And now when we are done with that, update the default bills starting date to the next month. So that is what we are doing here. From this bill, you want to get the ID of this current one, and I'll create a new bill, update the month over here to the next month, and I'll save. And I'll delete this default bill. So we are preparing a new one, so the old one here, we have to remove it to enable us to keep one record at a time, no duplication. Okay, so that's what you are doing. At the end of the day, we're going to return this list of due bill. So this is going to get us, this is the core of the application. Okay, this is what we're going to use to get everything that we need. Okay, so now we have this. Let's have a look with the next one, and that's going to be the get build period. So get build period is very simple, and this is going to handle the period. So get our period and our return. Now the next method that I'll talk about here is going to be the pay bill. So in case I click on this button, what should happen? You want to call this method, and now calling this method, you want to get this from database where the ID corresponds to what coming in. In case we have any, you want to prepare and now set this bill pay to true. After that, we want to delete the old one and now insert the new one. That's very simple. So you can see that we are inserting the new one to the history, and I'm deleting the old one from the due bill. That's what we are doing. Because when you check this results bill, it is coming from the due bill. So as soon as we click on delete, it is deleting from this due bill table. You will see this object here, that's an insert, is coming from the bill history. As soon as we insert, it is inserting from this bill history, or inserting to that table. So once you're done with that, then the next one is, let's have this too. That is the add period. In case I want to add period, I can do that by using these two methods. So connection.add insert period, and also these are the method, and now get period is saying to get our period as well. Okay, so now we have this. Let me just open this in case you couldn't get that. After with this, you're not going to be using this for now, so maybe we can decide to clear this off. Let's maintain it. Maybe you can use it also. All right, so I'm gonna just close this. So now our interface or our service is ready. The next thing that we have to do here is we have to register the service. So we have to do that in the myprogram.cs file. Alright, so let's go to this myprogram.cs file, and now let's grab this service. Maui program, so go to Solution Explorer, myprogram.cs file, and now in here, let's register the service as the interface and the implementation class. Control period, let's include the reference. Alright, so it seems that our service is being created and also injected or registered. What's the next thing to do? So we are on the move of these view models and our views. So we're going to create our view models and our view for that. The first one that we're going to create here is going to be the folders. So solution, let's add 2 folders in here. The first folder is going to be views. Second one, view models. Now let's create the views. So here, the first view that we're going to create here, it is add period page. Okay, so let's create the first view for this. I click on views. So we want to create a form whereby we can add period. So the name is going to be add build period page.xml, and once you create that, we have to create the view model as well. So we go to this view model, right click on the view model, and I'll add a class, and the name is going to be add build period page view model. So when you come back to the add period page, we want to just use, so let me just grab this, and in here I'll just paste this, and what I need here is the namespace. So I'll just cut that and I'll just replace it with it. Okay, I'll just copy these and I'll change the references. That's all. I can just clear this off, and now we have that. What we are doing here is, we are using an Syncfusion component, so we have to add this for input layout, for pop-up, data grid, and this for the view model that we just created. So we are adding it to the project. This is a title that we are yet to create. Now in here we have a content page. It is show dialog. So you want to pop up a dialog so we can add the period name. And then you can see the text here, it means add period. And the next one is we are using a grid. And with that grid, we want to display only the period name. So mapping name is for the period name. So that's the data grid that we're using from the Syncfusion. And you can see we have to bind the item source to this as build period. And all these are the auto-generate column mode to none, sorting mode, and etc. So all these are features that we can add to your grid. Okay, what we are focusing is the grid column text. The binding or the mapping name here, it is period name, and now the text that want to be displayed is a build period. So when you check this build async, that's a build model. You see you have the period name here. So that is going to be the period name. So build period. Check, you see we have period name. That is what we are binding to the view. Okay, here. Now, once you're done, we want to display this. Because when you check this, you can see that from this build period, we have only one column, and that's what we are specifying here. When we check this SF pop-up, we want to have a frame of horizontal one, and now we are creating a build period object. We want to accept only name and a button. So check this, add period, display only one text box and a button. That's what we are doing. Now aside from this, what we're going to do here is let's bind this view model into the application or the context. So I click on this and I go to view code. And now in here, let's paste this. Let's copy this. You can change this. Okay. Now you can see this is the constructor that we are creating. And now we are injecting this period. Okay. That is the view model that we are injecting here. And when the page loads, we want to, as soon as the page appears, we want to call a method. Now this method is going to get us the whole list of data or the build period that we have created in the database. So we are yet to create this method as well. Alright, so let's navigate to this view model. And now in here, let me clear this off first. Now inside this add build period view model, we have to first create a constructor for this. So that is it, and we inject the service. And now we can set up a name like that as what? Add build period. Maybe with this too, we can change this a little bit. And now here it is inheriting from build base view model. Let's copy this. Let's go to the same view model. And now let's add a class as build base view model. The reason why we are creating this view model is all the property that you're going to be using them often. We put them here. So this base build base view model is going to handle just an observable object, and that's the class that it is inheriting from. And also we have the title set. Alright, so let's go back to the view model here. Control period, let's include the service here. And aside from that, what we are doing is we want to create some properties to display for the header title, the show pop-up, and also the build period object. So control period, let's include the current toolkit. And also this, you have to include the object itself. So let's include this model. And we want to create a list to handle the collection. As soon as you get it from the database, you want this to handle that. You can see we created a method in the view, and that is show dialog. If you actually could remember from this button, as soon as I click on this, the toolbar. So I want to check here. We see I have this toolbar here. If I click on this, I want this dialog box to pop up. And that is what we are doing. So this is going to make it pop up. Then we create a new instance of this object, build period object. Now if I click on save, so when I'm done and I click on this save, we want to handle this with this method. Okay, so call the service and I'll save it in there. And now pop up show to false. When we are done, load this period, load the data here. So this data, it is what's going to be loaded, so we can have access to the letters, not the letters, the latest data that we have added, the records, and also the old ones as well. So that is a method that we call as soon as we launch this. You see we load period command, we execute this. Okay. Now let's save this. And now let's check our build period and see if we have anything to correct. Alright, everything is set here. Okay. Alright, so I believe everything is set, but I can see we have some errors in here that we need to rectify. Binary context, go to this, add the partial class. Okay, let's check up this too. So now that we're done with this, what we can do next is we have to register this and it in the myprogram.cs file. So let's do that. We go back to the same my program, and we're going to do a whole lot of registration in here. So let's first handle this. Okay, so we have add build page, view model, and also the page as well. Oh, so let's see. We have to include the namespace instead of generating. So this, let's check it out. Okay. Now my program.cs file, and okay, so let's add it. And let's see, so we have a class here. Alright, so okay, so control period, let's include the view model, and also here we have to also include, so add build period. Let's see, yeah, so include this. Alright, so once we're done with this, we can just go ahead and we can go to Listener Explorer, and when we check this appshell.xml file, instead of this, let's set default page to that so we can test it and see. So .views, and now let's change this to add build period page. Let's try this and see. Okay, so you can see it is ready. Now it is in a dark mode, so let me change it to light so you can see everything feely. Alright, so let me change for the default mode to light, and that's going to change that. Yeah, so you can see we have the period and nothing over here, and you can see we have this button as add period. As soon as I click on that, let's add the period here as monthly. Now click on save. And wow, so we have the breakpoint. Let me just unload them quick, and now click on continue. Okay, so we have it. Now it is ready. Now let's move on to the next one. So let's close this, and the next thing we're going to talk about here is to add this bill. So add bill. Let's close all this, and what we need to do here is first we're going to create the page. So let's create a component, and that is going to be known as, let's see, add bill. So .NET Maui content page, and now that is an add build page. So click on OK and click to add that. Now when we are done, we know we have to create the view model as well. So let's do that quickly. We do that in the view models, add a class, and that's going to be view models. Let's add that. Let's first work on the example page first. Now in here, I just have to grab this, and at times UI sucks. When writing or creating UI, it takes a little bit of time. So in order to speed things up, I have this already, and I'm going to leave it to the GitHub so you can just have access to this. But I'll first go through quickly, and so we can move on with that. Let me first grab the class here, and I'm going to replace it with this and change the name to this. That's all. Alright, so let me clear all this from here. Alright, so that's what we are doing. You can see we are using the same Syncfusion component. We are adding the input layout, and that's going to be for the text box. We are adding editor for combo box, and that's going to be the picker. And we're going to also have the calendar and the buttons. We have our view model also added to the context. So if I click on this, the toolbar, that is home. You want to navigate back to the home page. Aside from that, you see we have this form. It's a frame, and we have the input. So you're going to see we have the name, input name. We have the object set, input name, and that's the period. So here is a drop down. We bound this to a list of what build periods, and this build periods here comprise of the models that we have created. Now you can see from here that if I click on manage build, add build, this is what we're going to see here. So this is the add build because you have the name, the type. So this is a combo. So you're going to have the monthly one as created. We have the bill amount, and that's the bill amount. Is it active? You want to have this as active, and that's the calendar here. So choose calendar, and that's for the calendar. So you can see we have the label here, choose starting date, and that's the label. Okay, then we have the calendar itself, and this is the calendar itself over here. Now with this calendar, you can see we have this text format indicated, and you can see we have all these as the features. I'll actually leave the description, not the description, the documentation for this calendar, the GitHub. No, under GitHub, under the description. So please can just second now. You're going to understand all this over here. These are features that you can add. Show today's button, enable past dates, and etc. So you can see, let's set this to true because I want to enable past date. So you see that it is not here, it is false. I want to enable all this, and you can see you can now swap and select, and that is what I'm using over here. Enable swap selection, can toggle delay selection, and etc. All these are features of this. All right, now what we're doing here is we see that we have selected dates. As soon as this event of this changes and the date is selected, we pass in this, we assign the selected date to this. Okay, then here the mode is a two-way, so in and out. You want to handle that. We have the button of save, and that is a button that you see here. If I pull down here, save. Okay, so this is the UI. Now you're done with this UI. Let's go to this view model. Now before we do that, let's bind this UI to the context first. That is a view model to the context. All right, so we can do that from this add build page. We go to the page that we are now. That's an add build page.xml.cs file, and in that we want to handle it with this code. So we are injecting it, so we can just remove this from here. And now control period, let's include, do we even have this view model? Have we created that view model? Let's check it up and see. So add build page view model. Yeah, we have this view model over here. Okay, now let's see control period. Can we have access to that? No. Now let's see. So we have all these, and we have the namespace added, and that is what we need to do. So let's add using demo dot view models. Okay, and that is what we must have here. But at length we've cleared this. So let's do it again. There's a problem with what we copy and pasted. So instead of this, it has to be like this. Okay, we clear this. All right, so now we have this add page view model, and we have the name added here. So add page view model, and that is the name here. So there's an add build page. So add build page, and that is the name. Right, so we have this, and when we check this, when we go back to this add page view model, let's see, add page view model, under the view model section, we have this add page view model. Okay. Wow, so there's a mistake here. Instead of navigating to this page view code, instead of working it over here, we made that to that side. So let's set it over here, straightforward. Okay, so that is this. Yeah, let's paste it here. Alright, so add page view model control period. Then we can just go in there and add that. So when it comes to add page view model, we can clear this. Okay, let's go back. And let's clear all these. Okay. So here, suppose you public, that is a partial class. But for now, we have it added. So when you come to the code behind file, control period, then we can now use this view model here, inject it. And then we're going to call a method here as load period commands, and you're here to create that method as well. Okay, let me close all these gaps. Now we have this. When we go back to this page view model, what are you going to do here with this add page view model? So first of all, you can see that it has to inherit from the base view model that we created. And so that's the base view model as a build base view model. Aside from that, we need to create constructors of this and now inject our service. So we can do that from this area, and we inject our build service control period. We can now use the reference as well. Okay, now you have this build object. So let's create this build object. So using this observable property on top, and that's going to be the build. So let's include the models too. And also here, that is where we have to work on the calendar. So when the calendar changes, we want to handle it with this code. So when the calendar changes, handle it here. Control period, let's include this. Let's see, we have the sets and everything. All right, okay. So when the calendar date selection change, we want to handle it. And you can see here, we are using onSelected date change. So we're going to come in with the date, and I'm going to set the date here to the current value that has been created. And I can see from here, we are typecasting it, or we cast it to date. So as soon as I select the current date today, it's going to get me over here. If I change the date, it's still going to handle that as well. All right, so let's get selected build period from the query as we retrieve the ID. Okay, so we can also use this to get that done. So you can see from here that here we are going for selected period from the combo box. You know, from this, if I click on selection, if I choose any, I must have the ID, and this method is going to handle that. Okay, we set it to this period ID. And the next thing is, we know we have to create a list of objects for observable collection, so we can get the list of this build period. And now there's a method that we need to create, and that is what an appearing page calls it. So that is load period. So when you check this page, you can see it called this method load period, and that's going to load the period. When the page loads, it's going to populate the period here, as you can see from this. So we get all the period from the service, and I reassign it to the object here. That's a list. That's all. Now if I click on go to home page, what do I want to do? I want to just use the go to async, and I return to the home page peacefully. So I can do that with this method. You can see I am just going back to the home page, and now this is a build page. So control period, let's include the reference, and so do you have build page? We are not having build page yet, so we're going to create it soon. And so for now, we can just comment this, and let's see. So if I click on this, if I click on save, what do I want to do? I want to save the object that I've just created. So you can see that we check if the date is not null and the period is not equal to 0. You want to do that, and when I'm done, if everything works well, navigate to the home page. So currently, we are not having any home page, so we're going to maintain that. Else, we want to alert and display message in case you have any error or any issue as well. Okay. So let's see. Now we have this set. So let me just comment this before you forget it. Okay. So we have this set like that. And now in here, we can even use the deconstructor mode. So we can deconstruct it and now get the code and the message. So instead of this, we can just have the message as you can see from this. Yeah. Now we have this set. So it's ready. What we can do here is we have to also register a view to the Maui.ts file. So add build page and its corresponding view model. We have to do that as well. So let's do that from the Solution Explorer. Maui program.cs file, and now in here, let's add them. Okay, so this is also set. The next step that we're going to do here is, once you have this, let's create the home page first, or we are already done here. Let's see what we need to do. We are going to create the next view. We have created the add build page. We have created the add build period. Now we need the build page and also this update build page. In case I want to update it, what should happen? Okay, so let's see. But before that, let's create the build page first. So let's do that here. Control period, Solution Explorer, and we go to the views. Let's add this new item and .NET Maui content page. Make sure you select the XML. The name is the build page.xml. And now with the build page, what I'm going to do, you want to display the list of the builds that have been added. You know, this is what you are doing. If I come back here, that is the list. So this is what you want to display. Okay, so in here, I'll just paste this and I'll just change the class to this, and that will be all. Then let me clear this. So you can see from here that we are using an SF data grid, as you can see, and this is a Syncfusion data grid. And I just have to change the name, the project name, to this. That will be all. And we have to also create this view model. But for now, you see we have this toolbar, and that is a go to add bill. So when you check here, you can see add bill. If I click on this add bill, a pop-up must happen or must open. Okay, and it has to navigate us to a page where we can add a bill. So that's what we are doing. Good. So if I click on manage builds, and if I click on add bill, I have to have a page so I can add a bill. This page. Okay, so that's what this method is going to happen. This button is going to do. Now when I go back again, this is the data grid, and that is what you're going to see right here. So these are the mapping names: name, amount, build period, period name. So since we added the with children, we can have access to the reference or the link data, the foreign key data here, and we have the starting date. We change the format, and we can see we have if it's active, set right here as active. So that's the status. If I go here, you can see we have the bill status here. Okay, now let's create the view model. So before you create the view model, let's right click and go to the code, and let's try to do the binding first. So build page view model, or we go to the build page.xml.cs file, and now in here, let's grab this. Now let's paste it here. So we are here to create this view model, and you can see we are going to call this method as soon as the page load as well. So let's quickly do the view model creating, Solution Explorer, and view model. Right click on this, add a new class, and that is build page view model. Now control period, let's add it to this control period. Now we can include it here. So there's a method that we are going to create. Okay, now let's go back to the build page view model. So in here, can clear all this. Now with this build page view model, what we're going to do here first is let's set the name and the inheritance. So we set name and inheritance here. Aside from that, we're going to create a constructor and inject our service. So let's do that from this. You create a constructor here, inject this iBuild service, control period. We can now use this service here. And the title is manage builds, because when you check here, manage builds. Aside from that, we are going to create this. So get a bill, or get selected bill. So get bill selected and manage it. So in case I click on, you can see from here that if I click on this, watch here. Let me just, if I click on this, it asks me, what do you want to do? That's what you are doing here. Okay, so let's control period. Let's use this model. And the next thing to do here is we are going to perform the partial method. And there's a partial method. Let me actually put them close so you know that they they are in a relationship. So your control period, we need to add this component model as well. And we have to create this method. It is accepting the bill object, and now we're going to pass the bill object to this method to manage it. And now that's the manage method is beneath. So let's put it beneath here like this. So this is the manage method. It comes in with the value, and this value is an object out of this bill. So we're going to perform choose option. As you can see from here, choose option like this, delete and edit. If I click on cancel, nothing happens. You see, since I click on edit, it has to navigate us to this page. And now we're going to use this navigation parameter as a dictionary, and now pass in or send the object here to that form. So there's no need for us to make a query from the database also again. The object has been sent, so we send the object to the form straight and now edit it. Now we edit it. After editing, we can now call a service to update it and navigate to this page. So if it is delete, then confirm. But here, if I click on this, delete, I actually want to do this, and that's what we're doing here. If I click on yes, meaning the answer is yes, then I want to call this service delete bill async, and when I'm done, just return load the bill. So load bill method has to come. So after deleting, we have to get a new one because it has to remove from the database and get a current one. So as soon as you click on load bill, it's going to call that method and now get a current data that we have. Okay, so here let's create a bill object, and now with this bill object, we come down here and we create this load method. So with this load bill, you can see that it is getting the whole bill again from database and remove the one that has been deleted, and I'll add this to the range here. Now you can see we are using an observable range collection because of this MVVM helper by James Montemagno. So we can actually add it instead of looping through it using for each. No, we can just add a range straight ahead. And the next thing to do here is if I click on go to bill, what should happen? So that's the next method here. So if I want to go to bill, so that's the add bill. So if I click on add bill, what do I want to do? I want to add a new bill. That is it. Add bill, add a new bill, and that is it. Go to this page. All right, so it seems we are done with this. Now let's have a look with the update. If I click on I want to update this, it has to navigate us to a page. Normally, we can also use the same add component, the add view that we created, to also accept, to modify, and also to add. Else you can also create a new component for that. Okay, so let's create a new one. Today we're not going to use the same one. Let's create a new one, and it's going to look the same as the add bill view. All right, so let's see that. So we have to create a new view here. That's a content view. And now with this content view, we go to this view, right click on this, and we're going to add a new item. This new item, new .NET Maui content page. And make sure you don't forget that. And now in here, we want to set up this update page. Now, once you're done with this, you have to also create its view model. So we can do that from the views folder. So view models folder, right click, add a class. And now the class that you're going to add here is going to be view model, update view model. Now, once you have this, you can go ahead and inject it into this code behind file. Right click, go to code. And now in here, we are going to inject it here. So let me just grab this and I'll paste this. So we have this view model added already, and there's a method that you are going to also call. I hope you understand this because we've been going through this a couple of times for now. All right, now we have done this. What can we do again? Let's see if we can register this also before you forget, because you have to register this update with the view model and the page as well. So we go to Maui program, and now we have to update this here. All right, so we did not even add the bill page, so let's add that. All right, so we have this set. Now let's go to this update bill, let's go to the view. And now from this view, this is what we want to do. We are going to just, it's the same as the first one, as an add component. So the update, where can it be found? There's an update, right click, let's go to the view. Okay, so that is the view right here. And I'm going to paste this. And I'll just have to change the class over here to the current class. And I can now remove this peacefully. Okay, we have the view model here set, and what I'm going to do here, let me go in there and grab this, replace the project name. Okay, you can see we are using an editor input from Syncfusion, calendar, button, view model, and a data type. The same thing applies to when we are adding the bill. You see, we use the same thing over there. All right, so control period. Now we have created this page, so let's include them so we can have this solved. All right, so with the update, the thing that we are doing here is, when we check this, the view, we are also setting the same thing, object period name. Now here, saying this object period name is going to have a value. The hint, you want to put it to the hint side so we can know what value or what object did the user select when creating the bill. But the user can also select a new bill as well. We have the save object. So let's check it up here. If I click on this, okay, edit, watch here, it navigates to a page. Now you can see the man selected here, and that is a hint that is holding this one. Since I click on this, you can see I can have the new one selected. I can have a new one also selected as well. Because you can see this is the old one, and this is the current one. I have the date and everything set. And that's the same thing that we are doing. Okay, so here. Now let's go to the view model and I'll work on that. So this is the view model. So from this view model, we have to accept this query parameter, because that here, when I click on delete or edit, it is coming in with a dictionary which contains the object that has been clicked. So we can put that on top here. And let's set the header here to make it inherit from the base view model. We have to create a constructor and now inject our service. I hope you know this already. So we do that here and control period. Let's include a service namespace. Now let's create an object which will handle this object coming in. And that's one that we created. So build control period. Let's include the model reference. And with this control period, we're going to include this component model as well. Now let's get selected date. So in case I select a new date, let's get it here. So I'll get selected date from the incoming bill as a query parameter. This bill coming in has a date selected already. You want to get the date here and now put onto this selected date. So we have to create this object. Let's put it down here. So if this object is changed, what are we doing? You want to notify the view. So we set this object, the selected date, to the current one. That is when this changes. Update this. And I set the current value to it. The next thing that we're doing here is you want to get selected period as well. Because the user may decide to change the period from weekly or from monthly to weekly, etc. I click here, I can change this. So initially it's monthly, I can change to weekly. So you want to get the ID. And that's what we are using to do. Alright, now to prepare the period, we have to have the same list as we did. So let's paste that here from this observable collection. And I will create a method that will be called to populate the list here. For us, call this period service. And now I'll populate it and add it to this list. Okay. The next thing we're doing here is if I click on go home. What do you want to do? Let's see. Maybe I would like to I won't continue with the editing again. I want to click on cancel. So cancel, it has to go to the home page. Okay, so cancel, it has to navigate. So control period, let's include the views, namespace. And if I click on update or save, we have to call the save method or the update method to handle that. So save object, and we check if the date, this instead of the toString, we can set it to .null. So date is null. Okay, we can do that. And or we can even add, can we even add that value? It's null. That's also going to work, but first of all, I think we can say like this. Okay, now in case it is not null, then we want to call this update bill async, passing the bill, and then the outcome here tells where we should navigate to, or display the results, or display the answer or error in case there's an error. If there's no any error, go to the home page. Alright, so the update is now done. You can save this. Now the last view left here that we need to work on, it is the home page. Okay, so the home page, it is what's going to get us this view. Okay, the due bills, the current, no, that's the recent payment one, and also we have the amount displayed on top. So we're going to use, to get this full screen like this, we have to use the community.maui package that we installed. We've done that already, so we can now move on with it. Now we have to create that is a view, and I'll name it as home page. So we'll do that here. Solution, go to views, right click, let's add a new item. .NET Maui, and this we say this to homepage.xml. Click on that. Now in here, there are a few things that you're going to do. First of all, let's have the content page set. So I'm going to clear this. Let me paste this here. Let me just grab this. That is a class. And within that class, I'm going to paste it here. That is a class. Can just get rid of this one. Okay. We need to create a home. We need to create a view model for this, but don't worry. You know, we are setting this. You want to shell.navbar is visible, set it true. So this bar is visible. This is a bar. We set the color to that. We set the background color of the whole page to this color. I don't actually know the name, but that is a color code, right? So you can just get a copy of this. Else, if you know the color code as well, if you know the name, you can also put it in the description or the comment area. But you know, the name doesn't matter. What matters is the code. So when you get the code, you can now move on with it. And that's what we have done. Alright, so we have the title bound to this. Now within the page, let's close it first. So we don't get any error whilst doing it. We can close this content page peacefully. We need to create this view model. Okay, to stop this. And this is Maui App General. So let's grab this. Let's change the reference here and that. To continue with this, we have to create a view model so we can have this error-free content page view model. And now let's add a class and let's paste this home page view model. And now this, I believe we can just bound this. So let's go to the view page and we can actually call a method in there. So home page, right click, let's go to the code. And now in here, let's paste this. Yeah. So save. Now let's go back again. And this should be off. Yeah. Okay. So the very first thing that we are doing here is we want to work on this. You know, this is the UI. So UI at times it takes time to do it. And I'm just going to just do copy and paste. And I just go over it and I'll explain to you. We first want to have this first. So with that, we are using, this is a content behavior. You know, we have this. So I'm going to paste this. And this is a content.behaviors. We set the status bar color to this. And because we install this community2k.maui, that's the reason why we're able to do that. So if you check here, there's a color. Okay, the top here, where we have this indicator, there's the color that we are setting using this code. Aside from that, we want to use a scroll view. So let me put my scroll view in here. And in that, we want to have the grid. So let's use our grid system and put that in the scroll view. Let's close the grid. So within the grid, the first one that we're doing here is we want to create the horizontal section of this, and we want to display this one. Okay, so this build tracker. So we can do that with this. So this is gonna get us that. The second one that we are gonna do here, it is a frame for this. So when we check here, this frame, and we can grab this second part here. Okay, now we are binding this to total. We are setting the string format into this Ghana cedi, so you can change it to dollars, to a pound sterling, you can change it to any currency that you want to do. Okay, you can do that as well. But you know I'm in Ghana, so you're going to use the Ghana cedis, and that is what you see here. All right. So we are done with this. You know, we are using a vertical layout. So first one on top, second one beneath. We change the font size 20, bigger than the first one. That's all. Very simple. Okay. Now the next thing is we are going to work on the first grid, and that is this one. This due build. So here we have our due build. So this is our due build. Just information that we just pass on the due build. The next one, we have a collection view, and that is what we're going to loop through and now get us the current like this in this form, where we can just swap like this. So here we use this for that. Now you can see from here that we have collection view here. Okay, you have the item source, the item layout, and now the layout here, it is horizontal. That's the reason why we can do this. And we can also go back, front. Yeah, because of this. Now we have the data template. This is the item template first. We have the data template, and we are specifying the model that we want to use, and that's the due build model. And we could see we are using the frame, because when you check this, each is a frame, and we set it using the horizontal stack layout for each, and we pass in the text, the bind it to the date, the amount, the date, due date name, the build type, and also the name. Okay. Now, aside from that, you can see we have a button over here. Now, this button here means I'm paid. So if I click on paid, we want to make this reference. So the reference type is an ancestor type reference, and you know we are referring to this homepage view model. And the button command that we're going to create as pay bill command. Remember that we've created this command in the service already, so we have that service command there. All right, so aside from this, let me just collapse this. The next one that we need to create, it is also frame. So this frame, what is it going to do? When we check this, it tells you recent payment, and that is this one. So the last one is looping to the same collection view, but this time around, instead of the due list, you're going to have the bill history list. You paste this. And you can see the bill history list, the same thing as the first one, this one. So it's the same as this, just that here we change the bill history, and at the model we change to this bill history model instead of this due model. All right, so these are the design that you want to have here. Now let's work on the view model. So when you come to the view model, I'm going to clear all this. Okay. Now from this home page view model, we want to first create a constructor and also inject the service. So control period, we can include the service. This has to inherit from the build-based view model. So let's do that. Also, we must have a list of collections that we need. Whilst you also have object decimal to handle the total, so decimal, and for the total bill. And these are the object collections, so control period, let's include the models. And these are the models, so you want to populate them over here. So you can see we are getting all the 3 tables here. And let's include the VM. Let's include this as well. Now, the last one left here is we have to load this data. So we have to create a method so we can load this. Populate all the data here. So in here, we have this method. And at the first one, you can see the load data. We get the due bills here. We create a new object out of this. And as you can see, we are looping through. And now we want to get the month name. So we're using this method to get the month name. And here I want to get the month number -1. So we can have the bill referred, or the month the bill referring to. You can see the month must be the previous month. So we subtract 1 from the previous month, or the current month here. If it's October, meaning referring to September on. We do that. And we add it to the bill. And now here, the total bill is, we're going to sum it. So we sum all the amount and our display. When we come to this get bill async, you see we are getting all the bills as well from this, and I return. When it comes to the bill history, we get the whole thing from the bill history. And now you can see we also do the same thing. Okay, and I add it to the list here. And now that is all. The last method that we need to do, so let me just close, let me hide this. The last method, that is a pay bill. So in case I click on pay bill, I went and paid the bill. So here, to set or to notify the app, I need to call a service as payable async, passing the ID. And now when it is through, when it is done, you're going to be through and load this data together the current date. Yeah, so all set and done. What we're going to do here is, let's register this. So we have this home page. Let's go to this my program.cs file. And let's register it. Solution, Maui program. We have the update one. So in here, let's put on this as well. Now let's go back to the app shell. .xaml.cs, and now let's register the routing. So we can click on to navigate. App shell.xaml.cs, down here, add this. Now let's include the namespace, and we are good to go. But you know, we want to have this bar. That's a flyout. You can see my flyout isn't beautiful at all. I didn't design it, okay? So maybe that will be for another project, but here we want to focus on our app itself. So let's see, from that end, we go back to this app shell. And now with that app shell, we want to create a simple flyout. And that's what we want to do. Very simple one. I believe you can even do it yourself, right? So in here, I'm going to just replace it with this. Local home page, set that to home page. And we set this to add period and also build period. Right, set this done. Control KD or fixed. Now let's close all tabs. Save all. And now let's build this project again and see if everything is working as expected. Now, if it succeeds, then we're going to run this application and it's going to work. Alright, so you can see from here that it is succeeded, and what we're going to do here is you're not going to use the window machine anymore. Let's choose Android emulator, and let's run on the Android, and let's see. So that is an old one, and we must have something similar to this, okay? And that will be all. So let's wait for this to get loaded. Now while it is loading, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do that. You can also give thumbs up to this video. In case you like what I'm doing, just do that, okay? Alright, so you can see from here that our app is now ready. As you can see from this is a new one that we have just created and built. So I can see from here, due bills and recent bill payments, everything, nothing over here. And okay, so here we did not add a fly out. So let's do that from this page, and that is the app shell, that's XAML page. So instead of this, we want to set this to enabled. Okay, so there's going to be fly out. Let's save that, and now you must have this. That's right. So let's first see, let's check it up and see, do we have a period? So we have to add a period to this. So let's say this is monthly. All right, so now let's manage builds, and like we see, we have all this. So let's add a bill. Okay, so this is electricity, and now you know the type here, it is monthly, the amount 123.99, it is active. Now for date, it is, we are in, let's go in for, you can see the current month here, it is December here. So we want to choose maybe, in case we choose November 18th, it's going to be like 1 month plus November is going to be December. So it means that the bill is due for payment. So click on save. Now you can see it is saved. So bill period is 18th November right here. So 1 month plus day is going to be December 18th. So when you click on home, you must have that bill displayed here as paid bill. As soon as we click on the amount due for November, and this is the date of due date, this is an amount. As soon as we click on paid, it has to move and now pop up over here. Because that's a very interesting one as well. So that is it for this video. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. If you like what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up as well. You know, I'll leave this source code under the description to the GitHub account, so you can just go in there and clone the source code and also review. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. Give a thumbs to this video in case you're okay with it, okay? And yeah, you can also buy me a coffee in case you're okay. You like what I'm doing and want to show some gesture to me. I have all this link beneath, so you can do that as well. Alright, so that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I believe I'm going to catch up again in the next video.